With us, Jeannie, let's start right here with you in New York, in your backyard. Do the polls have this captured properly? And if that's the case, if it's a double-digit blowout for Mamdani, is this an early night tomorrow?
It could be. If it is not, we are seeing some polls showing Cuomo tightening, and we are seeing that some of that early vote is coming from people over the age of 50, and the suspicion is that they may be going for Cuomo. So this could be tighter than the polls have suggested, but if Cuomo pulls this off, that is going to be an upset. I won't say, Joe, of the ages, but that'll be a big upset, and the pollsters will have egg all over their faces. Wow. So yeah. I think most of us, Frank, I think Rick and I talked about it earlier. We expect, we follow the polls, that Mamdani, pulls it out. And I think the question is one of margin. And if he was able to get over 50, that's an enormous win for him. I don't know if he gets there, though. Fascinating.
Rick, the early vote has been a really compelling factor here in New York, but also in Virginia, as you've pointed out, in Fairfax County alone. Presidential cycle level early voting, that plays in Democrats' favor?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Fairfax County has become a lot bluer than it used to be, and you can't underestimate the impact of the news about government here, whether it's the early Doge firings or these furloughs related to the shutdown, and also just the general disruption of life here, with flight delays and things like that. All these things happening when people are actually turning out to vote. And so the fact that you've had such a massive vote in Fairfax County, Northern Virginia, is indicative of an energy that you see on the Democratic Party side, not on the Republican Party side. This is a off-year election, as Frank Luntz said, usually doesn't favor the party in power, and it certainly looks like that's going to be the case, at least in Virginia this time around.
Do you both agree with Frank Luntz, by the way, that it's a Democratic sweep tomorrow night, Jeannie? That includes Prop 50 in California.
I do think we are looking at that. I think the big race to watch in that regard is what happens in the New Jersey gubernatorial race.
Right.
Mikey Sherrill has not run the campaign that some Democrats wanted her to. She's still up in the polls a little bit. Citarelli has a lot of name recognition. He's been at this race before. And I think one big issue to watch in both New Jersey and Virginia, energy, electricity. Citarelli is making a big deal out of that in New Jersey, and it's also hitting in Loudoun County in Virginia because of the use of electricity, and those cost of living issues may be something that could turn this. But I think the other thing in both of these issues is the change candidate. A change candidate has an advantage. And of course, when you look at New Jersey, Mikey Sherrill is looking to make it a third-term Democratic governorship. That's harder for her than Spanberger in Virginia.
When you consider the Trump effect, specifically in New Jersey, Rick, the president on Truth Social this evening, Virginia and New Jersey, remember this, he writes, a vote for a Republican means substantially lower energy prices. He kicked out an almost word-for-word Truth post a couple of days ago on this with regard to energy. He says, vote for a Democrat, especially these two losers who are running, means a doubling, tripling, and even quadrupling of your energy costs. If you believe this is actually a one-point race, as a recent poll showed in New Jersey, should the president have done more than this tele-town hall, the tele-rally he's doing this evening? He could be there stumping in person.
Yeah, look, I mean, I would say I disagree with Frank on New Jersey. I think there's a shot that Citarelli has to win there. And for exactly the reasons that Jeannie said, there's never been a party that's controlled the governor's mansion three terms in a row. I don't think it's going to be that way this year either. All the energy on turnout on election day is going to be Citarelli's. If you get 1,200,000 turned out on election day, Citarelli wins. So I think there's a real shot there to have that happen. But at the end of the day, the president really hasn't lifted a finger on any of these races. He endorsed Citarelli early in May for the primary, hadn't really done anything since then, did a teletown hall. That doesn't get you anything in a state like New Jersey where the media markets are so big. But that's the case, too, in Virginia and in California. I mean, the president really, his team dropped the ball when it came to that referendum, almost ceding five Republican losses in the House of Representatives to this referendum. So I think there will be a lot of questioning if we can pull out a win in New Jersey. I think all hail Citarelli. We'll try to spend some time talking about what a great guy he is. But you're dancing on the top of a pin on this one.
Yeah. What do you think of the funding issue? President Trump says if Mamdani wins the mayor's race, New York will see a cut in federal funding. If you live in New Jersey, that actually impacts your life. You don't have to live in Manhattan. We've already seen $18 billion in funding for infrastructure, including the Hudson Tunnel project, cut by this administration. How does that compel voters in New Jersey?
I think it's going to play a role. And when you were just asking Rick, should the president have done more? Maybe not, but maybe he could have done less, because what he did on the tunnel, I think if Citarelli does lose, that could be a reason why, because you are going to see a strong reaction from people in New Jersey to a move like that. And I do think this threat is resonating with people in New York. People who are attracted to Mamdani, some of them feel, New Yorkers, and we don't know the number, that it is risky because Donald Trump may try to take revenge when it comes to money. Who knows if that plays out, but I do think it's in the back of people's minds. He's like hanging over this election without being on the ballot. Fascinating.
I want to go back to our conversation with Mike Lawler, the Republican congressman from New York, who does not want to see a Democratic socialist be the next mayor. Here's what he said would happen if Mamdani is elected.
People are fleeing countries that promote these policies, whether it be in Eastern Europe or in South and Central America. They don't work. And yet here we are on the verge of electing an avowed socialist as mayor of New York City, the financial capital of the world. You will see a mass exodus out of New York. It's not just about federal dollars. The tax base will deplete because businesses and those who can afford to leave will. And that will be catastrophic for New York.
Rick, we've only got about a minute left. You work every day with people on Wall Street, is he right?
Absolutely. This is the last thing that certainly economic-minded voters are going to want, is somebody who really believes in sort of a redistribution of wealth. And I would remind everybody that right now, according to all the public polls, Mamdani is well south of 50%. In other words, there's 60% of the city of New York does not want him. It's just the fractional voting for two other candidates are going to keep him in the race. So a lot of this has to do with just bad political strategy on the part of the opposition.
Yeah, just 30 seconds. Jeannie, everyone moves to Florida if he wins. Is that the idea?
He might, but I also wish all of us, not you, Joe, but the rest of us elderly people would look and see why young people are so frustrated. When he says that, when Mike Lawler says that, what people are thinking, young people, is it doesn't work now, so we need something different. So make the system work, Mike Lawler. That's why they're frustrated.
Really interesting. Gives us a sense of what tomorrow might be like with Rick Davis and Jeannie Shanzano. They'll be with us as part of our special election coverage. Be with us for an extended edition of Balance of Power tomorrow night. Again, it starts 5 p.m. Eastern, only here on Bloomberg TV and radio. I'm Joe Matthew. We'll see you back here tomorrow, only on Bloomberg.